Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge, where I sit with some of the theater's best and brightest, just chatting it up. This time I'm at Sardi's with Nina Arianda and Hugh Dancy, who are electrifying audiences in David Ives' hit play Venus in Fur, directed by Walter Bobby and playing at the Lyceum Theater. We talk about working in the theater, family, working on film, and their shared dream role.
This play doesn't have anything to do with me.
You're just peeping over the fence. You're just the writer. Oh, I'm sorry, adapt.
Why do people always think a playwright has to be the people he writes about?
Because playwrights do that shit all the time. You put me in a play, I'll fucking kill you.
Can't I just write characters?
Sure, and you just happen to find these characters in an ancient German S&M novel, Herr Dr. Novacek.
It's a famous book.
Okay, so you didn't have an innocent instant when you were 12?
No.
In the library
No.
with the cat?
No, again, no.
Maybe you're still waiting on your big moment.
All right, look. I thought this relationship was fascinating. Very rich, very complex.
Okay.
I thought the story was dramatic, naturally theatrical.
He thinks the lady does protest too much!
Thank you so much for sitting with me today.
Thank you for having us.
I love this play. You know I've seen the show many, many times. Take me back to the beginning for a second. I want to go back to you with your audition.
Okay.
What you remember about that, how you prepped
so
for
long
it.
ago.
But it's legend.
I guess, yeah, for me it was just prepping for an audition. I think the legend comes from, Walter and David speaking about it, but I can say that preparing for it was like preparing for most auditions I did at that time. I thought about what I was going to wear, and I thought about, who the character was, and I went in as prepared as I possibly could.
So when you first got the sides, you attracted to her right away, didn't you?
I did, yes. I think anybody would. I mean, it's an incredibly strong female lead, and she's very layered and spontaneous and mysterious, and that's what I was drawn to instantly.
Yeah. Hugh, how did the play come about for you?
Well, I was unfortunate enough, as I thought at the time, to not have seen the original production downtown. So the first time it came to me was in script form when they were looking to cast the production that we're doing now. And I'd heard great things about the show, and I'd regretted not seeing it. And then I read it and I realized why, because it's as a piece of writing, it's so gripping.
So you auditioned together. Did you hit it off together when you came in?
Well, I tell you what I felt was that what you want to do in an audition, I think, is come in and basically and actually have a good time, and that's usually you do your best work in that situation, and you want to feel that everybody's on the same page, and really you're not hoping to give a finished performance, but you want to prove that you understand the thing that's in front of you. I was aware in this case that I was going to be reading with Nina, and clearly she had a far greater understanding of the play than me, and what I took away from it, apart from anything else, was how generous I felt she was in terms of basically not running away with it and sitting back and allowing me to do what I'd come to do, and that made me go into rehearsals feeling quite confident about at least how it would be for us.
And the theme of the play kind of demands that there be an understanding between the two people on stage and a partnership, and I felt that it was instantly there when we read in the room.
Because I read, was it like 3 days into rehearsal or 4 days, Walter came back into the rehearsal room and he said something to the two of you. He took the original blocking out, or what happened?
Well, the blocking had gone by default because we were moving from what had been the three-quarter thrust to proscenium, so clearly it had to be restaged.
Yeah.
But there was a moment after we first got up on our feet, which was a pretty unnerving experience for everybody concerned, right? And Walter came in the next day and said, okay, I've thrown out everything he'd kept over, I guess. He said, we're starting from scratch, which for me was like music to my ears, because...
And for me as well, just being given that kind of permission from him to really reinvestigate completely from scratch was an absolute gift.
So it freed you up as actors, sort of start from scratch all over again.
Completely.
Let's just talk about what you love about the play in general. Now this show is running, and what constantly surprises you about David's brilliance?
David would love this. What constantly surprises me about David's brilliance? Well, I mean, like any good play of ideas, which this is, it continues to reveal itself after, 150 times that we've done it together, I suppose.
Is that right?
I mean, approximately, I would say, yeah. I'm not counting, but it reveals itself, you know, in the individual lines that come out of your mouth or that you hear slightly differently one night, and also in the bigger themes of it as well. I think are still enriching for me. I mean, if you can do a play like that and it keeps on giving and growing, then you're doing something great.
And if you can learn something new from every single performance, that's very telling of the writing.
Call Stacy and tell her that you won't be coming home tonight.
I can't do that.
Oh no? You can't? And you can't tell her why either. No excuses, lame or otherwise.
Hi, Stacy, it's me.
I won't be coming home tonight.
I won't be coming home tonight.
No excuses.
I can't tell you why.
Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Yeah, as the run progresses for each of you, are the roles still work in progresses for you?
Certainly for me, yeah.
I mean, I think you could say the broad strokes are clearly laid down and we've understood them now, and it's not that I don't anticipate us taking some wild veer off, you know, for either of us in terms of the basic shape of the characters that we're playing, but the dance that they do together, and particularly as the play progresses, you know, they're spinning round and round each other, and that stuff is still unpacking itself for me, and I'm sure for Nina as well.
Challenges for you. It's such an intense piece. I mean, it's a little over 90 minutes. I mean, it's like this dance the two of you do, the power struggles shift. I mean, do they change?
I think...
Stamina? I mean, what is it for each of you?
I mean, yes, always. I mean, I think that's always the nature of live theatre and Broadway and just doing something, being fresh that many times a week. But
I guess for me it does vary. I mean, some shows are just become physically more somehow demanding, and others are just emotionally more demanding.
Yeah, the play is it's a very intimate kind of struggle that they're having, and it's aggressive and you know, and it's loving. It's all those things wrapped up together, and in that sense, the play within pretty strict parameters. But for us, the experience that we have can veer quite strongly between something that's very connected or almost hostile, right? And there's very little way of controlling that. The only control that we have over it is to try and make sure that at the end of the show we say, okay, we're all good, you know, everything's right, and that we're still having the same experience. And that's probably more marked for me in this production than any other play I've done. You come off some nights thinking, how the hell did we go down that road?
Yeah.
You know? And again, I think it's a sign of a great play. I mean, it really, I have no control over that. That's the play, just throwing you down that road.
Yeah, talk about the audience's reaction to this play. I mean, it's got to be so great.
Like any play, it slightly varies night to night, but it goes from, it's such an extreme journey because you have a really kind of raucous, certainly the first 20 minutes, of almost relentless comedy, and not only because you're kind of beginning to show them who we are, but I mean, the pace is fast, and David's humour is fast, and by the end you hope to have the audience in total silence, and I think that must make it a very rewarding experience.
What's exciting for me is that people leave having really feverish arguments, and they have really long discussions.
Yeah.
And something happens, and in some way they are moved to do something or to say something or to think about something, and that to me that's what I want to do, is be a part of a show like that.
Yeah. We'll talk about some of the other stage roles both of you have done. You made your Broadway debut in Journey's End. Tell me what you loved about doing that and what that show meant to you.
Well, I love many things about it. One of them is in a painting over there, Boyd Gaines, and a fantastic cast of Jefferson Mays and Stark Sands, but really all the way through it was just a wonderful group of guys, as it was, to work with. The play is likewise, like this one, a play that in our final performance I was thinking, oh, I see, that's how it works, you know, you know, and you're still learning from it. And again, the experience of taking the audience of that play through such an extreme journey, and the responses that you got, the emotional response that you knew you were engendering in an audience, was very rewarding to be able to do.
And Nina, for you, you made your Broadway debut when you took on the iconic role of Billy Dawn.
5 minutes ago.
Suppose you got a chance to read my piece.
What are you talking? Of course I did, twice!
What do you think?
Well, I think it is the best thing I ever read. I didn't understand one word.
The Broadway debut in itself is certainly a dream come true for me. Taking on an iconic part was terrifying, but I think that having Doug Hughes at the helm and having him give me permission to kind of, not watch previous versions of Billy Dawn, and kind of allowed me to create her on my own terms with his guidance, obviously. It was thrilling, and I really loved her, and I loved the show, and I really thought that it was a hell of a way to kind of to be on a Broadway stage for the first time.
And you just recently got to work with Woody Allen.
Yes.
In Midnight in Paris. How did that all come about, and what was the experience like?
Well, the experience was
Yeah.
amazing. I was in Paris for 3.5 weeks with
That sucks.
terrible, and the cast was great, and Woody was great. It was kind of felt incredibly surreal at times, but it did happen. I'm told,
Yeah.
because I did see it, so I'm pretty sure it happened.
But there wasn't much of a script, was there? I mean, didn't someone just hand you a camera and say, just do something with it? What was that all about? How it worked?
Yeah, the script, I didn't get my sides until about a week before I left for Paris. And I actually really liked that process. I thought it kept it very kind of, fresh. And the stakes were high between the actors, and we all kind of bonded and did it. And I was given a prop on set, which I thought was very, it said a lot about Woody trusting me with a prop. I think it's a big deal when someone gives you a prop and doesn't really say anything, just says, here, I trust you to do something interesting with that.
And that's how he works, right, with a lot of his actors?
Yeah, I mean, there's an incredible trust that he has there. And that's scary because you want to make sure you're doing your best work, but then you have to remind yourself that, yeah, you were cast, and do the best you can.
French classical style at its height. The work, I believe, of Louis Vol,
Yes.
Manzar,
Manzar.
I think, and Charles Lebrun, I believe.
Yes, that's right.
I could get used to a summer home like this.
You've done so many films, Hugh. Big budget, indies. Do you have a favorite role that you played?
No, I don't actually. I've had many really great experiences, and it's hard. I did particularly enjoy playing the role of Adam in a movie called Adam, because it was such a stretch, basically, such a radical learning experience, playing somebody with Asperger's, and yet trying to fit that into the shape of that movie, which was some version of a romantic comedy, and not undercut the seriousness of that condition.
Were you excited
What?
sexually when we were in the park?
No, not exactly.
Well, I asked because I was, and I wondered if you were too.
Thank you so much for the glass of water. I should be going now.
Because I said that
so-
thing about being sexually excited?
No.
Congratulate you on your new TV series.
Oh yes, thank you.
You were just signed for, is it Hannibal for NBC?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And you're playing an FBI?
I am the counterpoint, I suppose, to Hannibal Lecter. It goes right back to the beginning of their relationship. Before Hannibal is a known criminal, so he's out and at the loose and actually helping the FBI, and takes a liking to me and decides to essentially take my personality to pieces and rebuild it in his image. A bit like drama school. It's just like drama school, really.
And you just finished doing The Big C, right, with Laura Linney?
Yes, last year, yeah.
So what was that whole experience like, working with her in that role?
Well, that was part of the appeal, was definitely to be able to work with Laura, and Oliver Platt, and the rest of the cast. And they described the character to me, and I thought, well, there's something interesting to do there. So terminally ill young man who, unlike her character, and unlike really in a sense the tone of that series, has decided to become totally detached and abandon his, any connection to worldly goods, and she challenges him on that. And I thought that was interesting.
You credit your family with so much. I mean, tell me what it was like, how they helped shape you growing up to become the actress and the woman you are today.
Simply by supporting me and giving me the permission to be a little crazy and a little, I don't know, they encouraged my passion and they encouraged my dreams, and they kind of gave me the tools to pursue that. I think that's all that they could have given me, and they did.
I heard that you weren't allowed to have toys with batteries. Is that true?
No, yes, I wasn't.
Well, that was a good thing, right?
And my uncle bought me a doll once that had a battery kind of pack inside. We never put batteries in it. I would put other toys inside of it, I think. I had a great time.
Yeah.
Talked a lot of different toys. Yeah.
Do you have any toys with batteries now?
No. No, nothing.
And you growing up, your dad was a well-known, or is a well-known philosopher.
Mm.
What was it like growing up with that?
He is a teacher as well as a philosopher, and like any teacher, and particularly in that area, it's about, for a good teacher, encouraging people to ask their own questions, and that is also, I think, a really central part of good parenting. So I benefited from that. Talking about support of one's parents and so on, I realised that that's what my father does is something that you could only do if you loved it. You would have to be passionate about it. And so when I said, look, there's this kind of slightly crazy and probably deeply misguided thing that I want to do, they were with the program,
So I was going to get into that next, about defining moments of when you both decided you wanted to become actors. Do you remember when that was?
No, I can only say I wanted to be an opera conductor for about 2 years, and then I naturally wanted to be an actor. Preschool, really, is when I kind of started going to, I guess, not classes, at least, a little program for children, little theater program, yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I strongly wanted to be an opera conductor for several years.
There was no one, Damascene, it didn't suddenly strike me. I started acting at school when I was about 13, really by mistake. I didn't seek it out. It just happened to me. It befell me because somebody told me to be in a play, and I obeyed them. And then and I continued. And by the time that my contemporaries were casting around and wondering what they might do, it occurred to me that I had already made up my mind at some point over those previous few years.
The other question is, do you remember the defining moment when you said, I think I can make a living at this?
I think it was yesterday when I signed up for that TV series. I don't know. I don't know that has happened exactly. It's. I think that there was something that happened to me around about 5-6 years ago. I turned 30. I mean, not on my birthday, but just at around that time, when I realised that this is something that I really care about, and I care about enough to take it seriously, and I care about it enough to take myself seriously in it, and that's the point that I think that I basically grew up.
I'm eating dinner at home, so I'm okay, So to me, I'm living.
That's it. As soon as you can eat, and that's when my parents kind of visibly relaxed.
I want to talk about dream roles that you'd each like to do on stage. What are some of your dream roles you'd like to tackle?
Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
That's what I was going to say.
Stop!
Well, see?
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, well, there you go.
So you want to do Martha, you want to do George?
Oh, no. The other way.
No,
that could be good too, you could switch out. Would you ever aspire to do a musical, either of you?
Well.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't take it off the table.
Okay. Hugh, for you?
Yes, I wouldn't take it off the table. I'll leave it for other people to do that.
You all work between film, theater, and television, but you always come back to theater. What does theater allot each of you that the other mediums don't?
It's a live experience.
Yeah.
And
a total experience. I mean, you complete the circuit every night. You go out and you deliver it. You get the response. You tell the entire story, and you receive the, I don't know, you're aware of it landing, and that doesn't happen in any other medium. I mean, in film or TV, you deliver your performance in bits and fragments and scattered across several days, all in the wrong order, and then you go away, and 6 months later, it's put together and you see it. And so, I mean, going back to that little doubting voice that every actor has, for me, the only medium that ever really silences that is theatre, because you are, like I say, it kind of completes the loop.
I completely agree. I think it's the only time that there's an instant kind of obviously reaction from the audience, and it could be either good or bad, but it's there, and you have to face it. And working, you know, with stakes like that is incredibly fulfilling.
Well, thank you so much for doing this an hour and a half before you hit the stage tonight at the Lyceum. So thank you very much. And if you haven't seen Venus and Fur, head to the Lyceum to see 2 memorable performances. Thanks so much.
Wait for me tomorrow in the Birch Grove by the statue of Aphrodite.
At what time?
You can wait for me until I decide to arrive. And don't come unless you found out about this Greek. Kiss my foot.
He kneels and kisses her foot.
Oh, I love this moment like